Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this time that we are able to be here today, and ask you to watch over Jesse as he hunts for good connection, and that he might be able to join us tonight for our conversation. And we're grateful for the technology and all the fun experiences we get to have with that, and by communicating across state borders and sometimes across the world. But we're grateful for the opportunity to discuss this case and learn from the studies that we have at BYU Idaho. And we say things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Christina, I think you should get extra points for doing the group chat with your kids on your lap.
I agree.
Not the first time.
I definitely agree.
Okay.
Does anybody have a spiritual thought or scripture that they'd like to share? Here's Jesse. Did you guys get the message from Jesse?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shoot.
You can just watch the recap, right? I don't know if that'd be easier for him.
Does he, would he still get points for joining the meeting if he just did that?
I think so. I don't know.
I don't know either. That's a good question. Does anybody have a spiritual thought they'd like to share?
I can share one if you guys aren't sick of me sharing ones.
No.
So I was just reading, I started reading the Book of Mormon again, and I just started reading, and there's a scripture a little bit back that said, and this is First Nephi. Can you guys hear my kids in the background? I'm using my earbuds, but okay, good.
Nope, you're good.
Okay, it said, yea, and how is it that ye have forgotten what great things the Lord hath done for us in delivering us out of the hands of Laban? So sorry, this is Nephi talking to his brothers, Laman and Lemuel. They're complaining again. It says, and also that we should obtain the record, being the plates. Yea, and how is it that ye have forgotten that the Lord is able to do all things according to his will for the children of men, if it so be that they exercise faith in him? Wherefore let us be faithful to him. And so I was just thinking about that, how the Lord promises so many times to bless us and help us to accomplish things or overcome trials or whatever it is, if we have faith in him and we keep the commandments. And I think the same applies for school. You know, like I feel like every week I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to balance work and school and everything, but it seems like it just works out. So, and this is my last semester, so I'm kind of even more surprised by that. But so I just think as we have faith in the Lord and we can ask him for help, that he really does help us, especially with things that sometimes maybe we feel silly asking help for. And that's my thought.
That's great. Thank you. I like that a lot. I agree. I don't know how it's going to work out, and it just does. And then I'm like, why didn't I have more faith? Why did I spend all that time stressing out?
And I feel like, I don't know if this is like a guy thing or like a thing just in general, but or maybe it's like me being prideful, but I forget to ask for help for a lot of times. I just am like, oh, it's just part of being busy or whatever. I need to just suck it up. But I think we're supposed to pray for help more. You know, we just, or at least I just don't as much as I should. So.
Yeah, I agree. I know I don't. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So put yourself in the shoes of Brentwood Associates Management. You must decide whether or not you will exit Zoës kitchen now, and if so, what is the best exit option? As a group, vote what Brentwood should do with Zoës kitchen. So I guess we'll just go around and vote. I'll start the vote, and I voted for IPO now. What did you guys vote for?
I like the. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. I just voted for the Celtics strategic, I can't say that word, buyer or financial buyer.
Mm.
Was it the very
Oh.
last option except for the waiting? Let me find
Yeah.
out what it is.
I would say the IPO now too, just because it seems like it's kind of a hot time for that, and the potential is high.
I think I like to sell to a financial sponsor or strategic buyer also. Which one was it? There's one like on the very bottom of the page, and right before the wait and gain option. It was like the possibility was to pursue the scale of a majority stake in Zoës to a financial sponsor, followed by an IPO in 2 or 3 years. That one.
That's a good option too.
That is a good option. Awesome. Okay, so now we're gonna each state our position, and looks like we didn't all agree. So the reason I chose to IPO now was because, like Matt said, it seemed like a hot time, and I felt like they could probably end up getting more out of the company if they went with the IPO. It made me a little nervous when they said that if they sold it, they wouldn't be getting near what they think they could. Like, where is it? It was like 16 to 20 times what they thought they could in the end. Anyways, and so I just felt like it was a good time, and they could end up, it could end up helping them expand and progress quickly, which is kind of what they want to do, I think. And I think that's the basics. What about you guys? Why'd you choose what you chose?
I like the combination of selling to a buyer and then waiting for an IPO, because when they were going through all the details for the IPO, I was like, wow, that's a lot. And it also seemed like they're still fairly new, but they're not like a terribly new company. I mean, they've been doing really well. So I was just thinking that if they waited to grow a bit more, then their company might be more well known, so that they could actually get more people interested in their shares whenever they actually went public. So, but I also like the idea, because they can actually grow and kind of self-finance themselves by being public. But I wasn't sure how excited I was about doing it like right now, but it does look like something definitely in the option. So I was kind of torn between two of them. And then whenever I saw the combination, I was like, oh, that might work out best. Mm-hmm. That's my reasoning.
Awesome.
I'll go ahead and go. I chose the sales to financial sponsor, strategic buyer, as it was like so many different options, and then it was like listing with pros, and then it would list the cons, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it just made it really hard to choose. Mm-hmm. But there's something in the case that really, like, I don't know, bumped me over, I guess. But it was like the primary benefits of competitor private sales process were speed and efficiency. A private sale could be completed in less than 3 months and would not require as much management time and attention as an IPO. And I thought that was kind of like, I don't know, an important factor in the decision as well, as, I don't know, making that decision quickly, and I don't know.
Not having things drag along forever.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I picked this initially I just went to sell now because my brother-in-law opens a chain of like fast casual restaurants that he started a couple years ago. And so we've talked about him selling those, and it seems like he'd like kind of a low amount is what he would get if he sold it privately. Whereas in this case, it talks about having an IPO and how much money they would make. But at the same time, they may not be prepared, but that may also be good. Maybe it'll stretch them and kind of make them up their game. So I don't know. That was my initial thought.
Awesome. I think these are all really good, valid points. It's hard to make. Sometimes I'm glad I'm not the one who has to make the decision.
Yeah.
I know.
So underneath number 4, the bullet points, why does Brentwood want to exit now? Is it that they've been with the company for a certain amount of years and it's kind of time to part? What were you going to say, Christina?
Is that like with most companies, they usually, I guess, typical private equity companies usually exit at like 6 years or so, but they've typically exited like 3 years, and so they're kind of thinking that this, I mean, it's just kind of their cycle of things that this is now time for them to exit. I hear you.
And to kind of move on.
Yeah.
I think I brushed through too fast. I was reading this in a hurry, and I think I missed the reasons why he was jumping out. I need to go back and read that part.
Sorry, Christina, go ahead.
Well, I was like, I highlighted it, and so now I'm going back through. But yeah, it was, should Zoë go public, is on page 7. But then they also, like, the reason that they even like discuss the IPO process is because they got a lot of people interested in it. So, like it says, based on the feedback, oh no, that's talking about, sorry. That's talking about the process of an IPO, not what they experienced. Never mind.
No, I do remember reading that they got a lot of positive feedback. That was another reason that I went with the IPO, because there was a lot of people like kind of contacting them saying, are you going to go public? Are you going to do this? Like, I'm interested in investing. And so I do remember reading that. Anyways, so the next question, the next 2 says, what are some reasons for holding now, and what can go right under each scenario, and what can go wrong? So why do you guys think they should, for holding now? Does that mean like not selling the company?
That's what I was going to ask. I assume so, right?
I think so.
With holding?
As opposed to exiting?
Yeah.
I think the benefit of holding is that they have more control of their company, where if you have like, if you go public, you kind of have to be more dedicated to making profits and increasing the share values. So you kind of have to you almost lose control of your business because your primary focus is keeping your shareholders happy, where if you don't have your IPO, if the business stays private, you can kind of control how fast you grow and what directions you take, and you just have more control and more say of what you do.
Mm-hmm. It's true. You're not responsible to somebody every quarter.
Yeah, you're not making promises to meet, certain goals and things like that.
That was something that I felt kind of nervous about also, is because, if they go through all this process and people don't really know as much as they would want them to about the company, and they're not really as well known, and then they end up getting rejected for an IPO, then they become like a bad asset. And you're like, but we're not a bad asset. People just weren't interested in us yet. So it's like all about timing of when you want to go public also. So that also made me kind of like, oh, it wouldn't hurt to wait a couple more years, would it? But that was also what I was trying to figure out is, what's the downside of waiting?
Yeah, that's true. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, that's true. That kind of goes along with this what can go wrong question. And who knows if those investors would still be interested in a couple years. Maybe something new and exciting will come out. I don't know. It's probably not long enough.
Are they also concerned with how well the market's doing? Because if the market goes into the company goes into a recession of some sort, then maybe they might not do as well either. I mean, you never know what the stock market's going to do. It's very volatile.
Yeah.
That's true. This was in 2013. Yeah. That's true. Because was it the last case that was in about 2007 and talked about the recession?
Was that the recession like 7 to 8?
Yeah, it's true because they could end up going public, and then within a year or so, everything crashes, and it ends up being not good for the company.
Yeah.
But I think that's where a lot of the risk comes in with a lot of entrepreneurial.
Yeah, definitely.
Ventures. You never know, and it's just at some point you have to take risk, and it's scary.
So do you think it would mostly be that once your company becomes large enough that they're fairly well known, that's a good time to jump in to become public? Or maybe the idea is, how do you know if you're big enough to go public?
Yeah, because if they're telling it's too small, right? People aren't going to really probably jump in and buy their shares. They don't even know who the company is, especially because they seem small. Compared to that noodles company, they're fairly small, right?
Yeah, company and noodles.
They have a fraction of their sales.
Has anybody ever eaten at a Zoës Kitchen?
No.
I've never heard of them.
No. We have a noodles company and a Zoës Kitchen in.
Oh, you do?
In the area where I live, and I've actually eaten at Zoës Kitchen. I just did not know it was Zoës Kitchen.
That's cool.
We just followed our friends. They were like, "We're gonna go eat at this place," and we're like, "Okay." And so we just went and ate there. And I was driving by today on my way to a networking event and was like, "Hey, I've eaten there. That's a Zoës Kitchen. I just read about you today."
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So they do have it is really fresh. Lettuce wraps was what some of our friends got that were really good. My kids usually do not eat any food whenever we go out to eat, so we actually just don't usually buy them anything. Because if we get it for them, we're going to end up taking it with us, and my husband and I are actually going to eat it at home. So it doesn't really make sense to buy them stuff. And so, but I remember being there, they actually ate all their stuff, and I was like, "Hey, this is a good place to come back to." But I totally forgot what the place was. But it is very nice and very comfortable feeling, and very comfort foody. It's very healthy. It has a definite super health fanatic feel to it. So, but it's good.
That's cool. That's really cool. I was looking at the map and all the different places that it's at. So that's cool. And I for some reason forgot that you were in Oklahoma, and so that's cool that you've been there.
But their prices are really reasonable too. They're not super crazy high price. I have not gone to Noodles and Company though, so I don't have anything to compare to that. I just know that I read a case about them 2 semesters ago, and right after I finished reading the case, I went and looked it up, and they had just opened days beforehand in Oklahoma.
Oh wow! I have eaten at Noodles and Company, but not Zoës Kitchen. So cool. Cool. Okay, does anybody else have any comments on number 4?
I don't.
All right. How much is Zoe worth under each exit option? Discuss with each other how you got your answers. As a group, come up with a consensus as to what Zoe's is worth. So I'm not quite sure how much Zoe would be worth under the IPO. Does anybody know what they would be worth under their option?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either.
I am not a numbers person in the slightest, and I always get counted off for it on my write-ups. I'm like, this seems like a good idea. And he's like, I'd always like to see more numbers to back yourself up. And I'm like, that's probably never going to happen. I'm sorry.
He tells me that too. I need more calculations.
Yeah, I'm not very good with the finance side. I'm just like, this logically makes sense. This looks like a good idea.
Same.
Let's see. I was looking at some of the exhibits. On Exhibit 1 on page 11, I did notice. Let me try and flip it here so I'm not like searching in my head. Okay, here we go. Hold on.
Which exhibit are you looking at?
Exhibit 1 on page 11, or no, Exhibit 2, sorry.
Okay.
Underneath that chart, it talks about gross IPO proceeds. I don't know what in means. Does anybody know what that means?
Is it in millions?
Possibly. Does that mean multi-millions? I don't know.
I think it means it's in millions. I'll guess.
Well, if it's in millions, then I think those look good for like comparable companies that went public. Like Noodles and Company, like I was talking about, their gross IPO proceeds totaled 96.4 million, if that's what that means. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, not too shabby.
So, but I don't know what it would be worth if they ended up selling.
Well, I'm looking at Exhibit 7, and it's selected financials from like 3 companies to compare them to. Chewy's. I've never eaten at Chewy's either, but we have one of those in Tulsa.
Oh.
Noodles and Zoës. And so, I mean, but Zoës has almost like a negative net income for the 3 years that are listed there, I think.
Huh. Doesn't look good.
Yeah. Like, why do you think you're going public if you're not profitable?
But their
Maybe it's
growth
purpose.
looks a lot
Yeah.
bigger than the other company's growth.
Yeah.
Maybe they've just been trying to expand so much they haven't been slowing down. So as a group, what do we think Zoe's is worth in the end? Good question.
I'm going to ask Christina's study partner, Google.
Any idea what Exhibit 9 is? It says a sample of restaurant MMA transactions. Oh, I think, isn't that another company? No. I guess MMA is M&A. I think that is a different company. Okay, never mind.
I don't know.
Did it say anything about it in the case? Like an actual, like not in the exhibits, but the case? Oops.
I'm trying to see. I can't remember anywhere that they mentioned exactly.
I turned my PDF.
I'm reading an article on
Go ahead. I'm just.
on on entrepreneur.com. There's an article about evaluating businesses for their worth, and it's saying that one way is that you can use a multiple of their where is it? Not cash flow, but sorry, I just lost it. Oh, their revenue stream. But I guess that multiple is different for different industries. So like the restaurant industry might have a different multiplier of like 3 times their annual revenue versus like a retail store or something. So that really help a lot.
Here's another question. In the case on page 5 at the very, very bottom, it gives a lot of their financial stats, and they have EBITDA. And I know that it's earning before interest and taxes, but I don't know what DA is.
That's a good question. Depreciation and amortization.
Okay.
Good.
So
it says in here the represented a 34% of store count, 52 in revenues, and 40%. So they were like 11 million in 2013.
And that was a jump 42% from 2011. Is that what that's saying?
%52 in revenues and 42% in adjusted acronyms.
So it seems like they had grown a lot from 2011, and then they were going to add another 30 restaurants in 2014.
So would we say 11 million times 42%? Is that our best guess?
Possibly. You know, that might even be like a minimum jump.
I mean, they said they were on track for that. So, I mean, if we're all guessing here anyways, because we have no idea, that's my best guess.
Yeah. So in the high teens of the millions, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, because it also says like 116 million and 11 million respectively. So
I think 116 million was the revenues.
revenues, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 11 million, my calculator.
I'm trying to read. There's that second case that comes with this one.
Uh-huh.
You know, I'm trying to read in there to see if it gives us any guidelines as far as evaluating them, but it's kind of tough. There's one section there that talks about, estimating the private firm's value using market multipliers. So Yeah, I think that's the same thing that you guys are using, right? The TEV divided by EVITDA. Does that sound right?
Not exactly. We're just using the numbers on page 5 at the very bottom, which I mean, one of the numbers is EBITDA. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they give us a formula on that second case that kind of goes over it.
Okay.
And one of them is just PE multiple times net income equals equity value.
That would be in our exhibits. All those numbers.
What's the PE? What does that mean?
Property and equipment, I think.
Maybe it's private equity. I don't know.
Well, PE is private equity firm, but if they're talking about like stuff on the financial sheets, I think it's property and equity. No. I think it's property and equipment is really what I think it is. Like they have to own the place for their having the store. So if they actually bought the land or if they're renting the building or whatever. But then they also have all the equipment inside. So I think it's property and equipment.
Works for me. I don't have any IPOs coming up soon.
Yeah.
On Exhibit 10, it talks about the forward PE. But that's of other different companies. So I don't know how we would find their current, as of 2013, PE to calculate.
Well, they said they were close to Noodles, right?
That's what I've been comparing them to.
So if they were fairly close to Noodles, I mean, if we don't have the exact data, we could probably use the Noodles data.
Oh, I found it. PE is price to earnings.
Oh,
I don't think that helps us with anything because we don't know.
Well, at least we know what it means.
Yeah. There you go, guys. We're all caught up on that.
Thank you.
Whatever it means.
Okay, well.
So you think that's the price? Are they when they have price per earnings, is that as if they were actually public? Like their price per share?
I don't know. It's kind of confusing. Well, I have no clue like what that formula is. The TEV divided by EVITDA times the EVITDA again. That's the formula to get the total enterprise value. I'll paste it in the group thing.
What the heck is TEV?
TEV is total enterprise value, it says.
Ah, okay.
According to Google.
So you have to have the TEV to get the TEV? Is that what this equation is? I don't know, guys. Should we move on to the next question?
I think so.
Okay. Next question. What differences did you observe in the valuations based on who buys the company? Does this make any sense? Discuss as a group.
Well, kind of if it was a private buyer, the value was less, right, than if they had an IPO. Is that right? Didn't we talk about that a little bit earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't think it was worth as much if it wasn't public.
But they were also interested in going public the way they could finance their growth.
Hmm.
But it also seems like there's less headache if you just go with a private buyer instead of an IPO.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a
So
little,
do they want more or less headache or more money?
yeah. Well, there's also less risk on it actually like going through or not going through. Like, because it may not go through as an IPO, but usually with a private buyer, it's usually less risky of it falling through, I should say.
Mm-hmm. And then the next question, why would anyone sell to a financial buyer instead of IPO? I think we've kind of been talking about that.
Well, if they wanted a quick turnaround, an IPO is not a way to go, because they were saying that it's like 6 months of a process or maybe longer.
Mm-hmm.
You also
I think in the
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say in the case it was talking about the benefits of competitive private sale and that process and how it was like really efficient. I don't know. I think that was like one of the pros of that.
Didn't they also have to pay a lot to actually become a private firm?
A public firm? Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah, I think it would end up costing them what, $1 to $2 million per year? Was that?
I think I remember seeing that somewhere.
Yeah, a company of Zoës size could expect to incur about $1 to $2 million annually in such recurring costs.
Wow.
That's a lot.
So it might end up being cheaper to sell if things don't keep growing.
Well, I guess it all depends because, I mean, 1 to 2 million to companies on the stock market isn't that big of a deal, comparatively speaking. Because they grow and they become so huge when they go public. Is that right? Am I thinking right?
I think so, but I think a lot of the ones that go public are bigger too, like that noodles company. They seem like their sales were a lot bigger initially already. So like a couple million to them is not so big, but to this company, that seems like that'd be a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So when we looked at their one of their financial documents and it had that their like net income was still negative. Does that mean that they're actually not profitable? Because I thought they were actually profitable.
Zoës their net income is negative?
On one of the
On Exhibit 7.
Yeah,
because that's not good. And their cash flow is negative too.
But it looks like all the others are negative as well, the cash flow.
Yeah.
Well, that's usually going to be negative because the cash is flowing out.
Yeah, that's not good. And you can see that their cash at the end of the period, like at the end of the period in 2013, they have $1,100 on hand. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it looks higher than what Noodles had at the end of the period.
Yeah, Noodles has and these might be in millions. Are these in millions?
Yeah, I think they're in thousands.
They're in thousands. Okay. Okay. So it'd actually be 1 million.
Yeah,
at the very.
I think so. But I'm not quite sure like which numbers on here mean the most, you know, like does this negative mean the most, or does the cash at the end of the period mean the most? Because it looks like Noodles total revenue in 2012 is more than double than Zoe's Kitchen in 2013. So I don't know. But they also have over double the number of restaurants.
It seems like it's bad for all of them.
Yeah.
Who thought this was a good idea? Huh. Interesting. So, what should we kind of say as our summary? What do you guys do we all have to come to a consensus, or can we say we're kind of split?
I mean, after looking at everything, does it still seem like an IPO is the best way to go? Or, I mean, like an IPO looks very positive, but should they
I think I
wait
would
for an
switch.
IPO?
I'm gonna flip flop. I wouldn't go with the IPO anymore after looking into it more.
Or maybe if they just wait a little while for the company to grow and then look into an IPO.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe that might be better.
Because they have, what, 20 stores? That they were saying?
Yeah, and they have like 40 more going in the next year.
So the company could dramatically change within a year. Like I remember a story of one company. I can't remember what it was, but they grew too fast. And so they actually grew themselves out of profits from building all these stores all at the same time. So if they were in a similar situation, which I really don't think so if I have a Zoës Kitchen in Tulsa, that's very profitable here. So but maybe if they wait, they might have better prospects of people wanting to get their stock.
That's true. What do you think, Becca? Do you think they should wait?
I think I'm sticking with my answer. Like, I think they should wait. I don't know. I think that might be the best option because I don't know. I don't think IPO would be a very good decision for them right now.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'll kind of start our summary. There were a lot of pros and cons to each decision, but we finally decided that we think they should maybe wait it out and not go public right now, and see if things look better in a year or so, and then maybe reconsider their options. I think that's it. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Thanks, Katie.
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks for setting up the meetings,
A
Christina.
little bit, then they can have probably a better view of it all. So.
Okay. Sounds
Awesome.
good.
Well, thanks, you guys. Thanks for
Perfect.
setting up the
Thank
Google
you.
Hangouts, Christina.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll put the link in the discussion either tonight or tomorrow.
Thank you.
I have a question about that. Are we each supposed to put the link in